What is up, everyone? We are just at the end of the week, only a couple days away from the 49ers facing the Bears. After what we saw happen against the Bills in that crazy snow game, I'm sure many of us would like to see this team move forward and start getting some wins to potentially give themselves an opportunity to get into the postseason. So I have some things I want to go over. It seems like a lot of folks out there, like I've mentioned probably in my previous videos, have given up on this team to an extent. And I get it. It just seems like nothing goes this team's way. And when it seems like there's a spark, the football gods seem to just take that spark right out. Not trying to blame on the football gods. Hopefully better luck comes our way. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The 49ers are going to be facing the Bears here on Sunday at Levi's. And I look at this as an opportunity for the team to get back on track. I look at this as a get-right game. I'm sure many fans out there at this point, at this late in the season, aren't talking about get-right games. That's kind of more early season, mid-season. It was probably the last time anyone has ever used that type of lingo. But look, guys, the 49ers still have an opportunity here, and I think after facing some very difficult teams that are clearly performing better, aren't as banged up as the Niners, I think the Niners need this game to feel right, to show themselves what winning feels like again, and lift their spirits and hopefully get something going here. Now, I'm not trying to make it sound like the Bears are an easy team. By no means do I think that at all. Excuse me, almost tripped over something here. The Bears, as we know, for the past 3 games have played very good teams. And these teams in particular were the Lions. And I think if it wasn't for the terrible time clock management for the Bears, they would have had a real opportunity to go on and beat the Lions. And before that, it was the Green Bay Packers or the Vikings. I think it was the Vikings. Same thing. I think they lost by 3. And then before that, it was Green Bay. I might have it backwards, but we're talking within 3 points, 1 point against teams that are playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders. So I understand they're division games. Division games are sometimes close because you know each other so well. But nevertheless, the Bears' record do not reflect how they are currently playing. And we will see what they put up, what kind of fight they put up now that they lost their head coach. So, you know, as much as I'd like to think we're going to go into this game and get our footing right, we're talking about a team that may have nothing to lose at this point because they have no head coach, but then and they'll go out there play a bit more freely. But at the same time, we don't really know what style of football they may play. I don't expect it to change much. I don't expect their philosophy to change over 1 week just because they lost their head coach. So moving on from that, I think the Niners should be able to win that game. But moving on, letting go of the season. Yeah, going back to what a lot of the fans have been talking about. Excuse me, 1 second. Going back to what a lot of the fans have been circulating, and I would even say journalists that cover this team, a lot of people are starting to give up on this team as if there isn't 5 games left. There's still hope, okay? I understand after what happened with the Bills, it feels like, what's the point? But I'm here to tell you that crying over these losses isn't going to help, so you might as well at least try to be optimistic. Because I don't know about you guys, I wait too dang long for football season to come on. So I'm not just going to throw in the towel and give up on the season and then have to wait all the way until August, September to start seeing some real football games again. Because as we know, once football's over, it genuinely takes a long time until we start seeing some football action again. And in my world, football seasons go by really fast. So if there's even a glimmer of hope to get into the playoffs, you best believe I'm going to be optimistic and continue to cheer on this team. But moving on with that, a lot of people have been talking about letting go of Kyle. There's honestly no authentic evidence of that happening to the best of my knowledge. I think it's just a lot of big talking heads in the media people who cover the team are just trying to point the finger or just trying to find change as if it's a video game. And people are bringing up the idea about Kyle getting traded to the Bears for a couple first-round picks. Look, guys, what would you rather have? A coach who has solidified his reputation as being a very dominant person in this league that knows how to bring a team up? We've been to countless NFC championship games. I think the past 4 in a row or something like that, or 3 in a row. But we've been to like 4 with Kyle, 2 Super Bowls. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather keep my coach who keeps my team in contention opposed to taking a gamble on a couple first-round picks. Because just because a guy is a first-round pick doesn't mean he's going to pan out in this league. You do know the draft is kind of like a crapshoot. Just because you draft a guy high doesn't mean he's a guarantee solid person who's going to work out in this league. Hopefully he is, but a couple first draft picks sounds cool and all, but let's not act like that's going to completely transform this team. Right? I mean, we're talking about a coach, a really good coach. So I think it's just a lot of finger pointing. And John Lynch actually recently came out on, I think, KMBR, which is a radio show that covers Bay Area sports, and mentioned that he found it very comical. And I didn't even have a chance to make a video yet, but myself too, I found it very comical that people were even circulating this idea about trading Kyle Shanahan to the Bears for a couple first-round picks. I mean, come on, guys. Kyle has done nothing but take this team almost to the finish line. And all of a sudden, we're having a season of injuries, and not just injuries, but players that are literally losing children. I mean, come on. It's a guy who got shot at the start of all this. It's you try to coach a football team like that and tell me how well you do. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for Kyle Shanahan, but I mean, at the same time, you have to understand the circumstances and how it can affect the team. I mean, you can't expect to always be performing at the highest of levels with the level of injuries and emotional damage that has been caused to a couple of the players, like Trent Williams having a stillborn, and his wife having a stillborn, and we all know what happened with Charvarius Ward a little earlier ago in the season. I mean, let's be real, guys. It's been rough, and I'm willing to give Kyle more opportunities. Like, I'm not gonna judge my opinion about Kyle Shanahan, whether he should be the coach of this team or not, over what's occurred throughout this 2024 season, and neither should you. Another thing I've heard people talk about, a lot of like journalists, or not a lot, but a couple of them, because I'll tune in to some of their live streams on YouTube and stuff, are already jumping ahead talking about drafting and stuff like that. I mean, come on, there's 5 games left. They're discussing what to draft, like what to look out for, because they're in their world, this season's already over. And it's just like, I don't understand how someone who makes a living off of covering this team is already just like kind of like throwing this one under the bridge. There's 5 games left. I know there's a lot of good material that they can write about with these remaining games, but and I get it. You're just trying to get your hot takes going to attract an audience. But I mean, if you're a fan and you're already thinking about the off season, are you really a fan? Because it's like, I just don't get it. This isn't a video game. There's 5 games left with a chance. Like, I don't care about draft picks right now. I won't even start thinking about draft picks until at least the last game of the season is over. Even if we're not going to the playoffs, there's still football to be played. So I think enjoy the moment, because it's only going to last so long, and then we have to wait forever just to see it happen again. So take that as that. I got my notes here on my phone. Talking about Payne Purdy, excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Another topic that has been happening on YouTube from journalists that cover the Niners, and of course the big media, the ESPNs, the Foxes, you know what shows I'm talking about. I don't have to name them. The topic has been circulating about paying Brock Purdy. Look, what has happened over the course of this 2024 season has not been on Purdy. Purdy has actually been playing solid, especially with the circumstances given around the roster. I honestly have not really given it the time of day, because it really just upsets me when I hear some people that have the largest audiences putting out just terrible information about Purdy and whether he should get paid and how much he should get paid. Look, Purdy deserves a lot of money. When you're looking at like Dak Prescott, when you're looking at Trevor Lawrence, when you're looking at guys who literally have broken the record of paydays for quarterbacks that haven't even sniffed an NFC, AFC championship game, yet alone a Super Bowl. We're talking about these guys getting paid enormous amounts of money, and some of these talking heads aren't even giving it much pushback. But when it comes to Purdy in his first 2 years, 2 NFC championship games, almost beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for like a blown tackle on Jones. Like you're gonna tell me you think he deserves way less than guys like that when he's actually been there, done that, this being this close to lifting the ultimate trophy. And let's not act like what he did against Green Bay and Lions never happened. I mean, he put the team on his back against those playoff games when it mattered most. And they were pointing that out at the time, but it just seems like people forget. And they like to put a lot of the blame on the quarterback. That's not how this works. It is a team sport. I do believe Purdy can lift this team, can carry this team if it really comes down to it at times. But this hasn't been the greatest of years. I mean, you still need guys out there to help you get the job done. He can't do it all on his own. Even if you're Patrick Mahomes, you can't do it all on your own, you know? So, I mean, some of the guys out there I know are talking about paying like Purdy way less than what I think he's going to deserve. I don't know how much Purdy's going to get paid. I don't know if Purdy seems like a really nice guy. I already know money is not like his driving force because he's like this man of God and everything, which I have the greatest respect for. And I don't know if he's going to take a team-friendly deal, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I don't think he personally cares to be the number one paid quarterback in the league, so I don't know if he'll necessarily break the market, but I would expect it to be a lot more than what some of the talking heads are proposing to pay him. And we're talking about some of the talking heads even mentioning about letting him play out his 4th year. I mean, if he does, like, I don't really care if he does. I mean, I guess. But, like, you know, we're talking about guys that they're just making it sound like he kind of doesn't deserve to get paid at the highest of levels. I understand you got Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, like the elites. I believe Brock Purdy has performed at elite levels. Maybe not as consistently sometimes, but for being where he's been with this team, let's not forget he is the quarterback at the end of the day. And they've reached the heights they've reached because of him as well. I mean, he is the quarterback at the end of the day. And I truly believe that if he demands elite level money, he does deserve it. And if you want to have that argument with me, I'm ready for it all day. Because his statistics back it up. I mean, honestly, quite frankly, his resume that ever since he's entered the league has backed it up. And if you don't agree with that, then you're just being a hater. You're having draftism just because you think he was the last pick of the draft. You think he's not cut out for it when the tape is in front of your face and he's showing you what he can do and do again. And some of the best quarterbacks in the league may not always have the greatest of seasons or of stretches. It happens. So I don't know why Brock Purdy should be held to a different standard. He should be held to the same standard as everyone else in this league. So that's what I have about that. And one of the reasons why to be optimistic about the remaining games is that Greenlaw is coming back. He's not going to be back for the Bears game. He may not be back for the Rams game. I'm going to be optimistic about the Rams game, but I would say most definitely we'll see him for the game against the Dolphins. Diamano Lenore, he'll be back against the Bears this Sunday. Hufanga, I think it's questionable. I think there is a possibility he'll play against the Bears. And Isaac Guerrero, look, you guys have been screaming and pouting about our other running backs other than McCaffrey getting a chance. Well, now Jordan Mason's out too, unfortunately. Isaac Guerrero did make that touchdown against the Bills. He's got great speed. I'm excited to see what he does out there. And you have to look at, even though no McCaffrey, no Jordan Mason, you have to look at the positives. This gives Isaac Guerrero an opportunity to get used to the league. I mean, he's played a little bit, as we know, but now he's going to get a lot of playing time, so we suspect, right? This is a great opportunity for him to really get his feet wet and us, we're going to benefit that as a team, because the more you do something, the more repetitions you have in something, the better you're going to get, the more comfortable you're going to get. So obviously, as a 49er fan, I'm hoping he goes out there, shocks everybody, kind of just picks up where Jordan Mason left off, where Christian McCaffrey looked like he was about to leave off, and just I'm willing to bet he's going to get at least one touchdown against the Bears. I'm willing to bet he's going to get at least one, hopefully two. So Isaac Grendo, here we go, and I think you guys should be pretty excited for that. Let's see. Yeah, and Bosa's still dealing with that oblique. There's a slight chance he'll be back for the Bears. So what that tells me is that he's obviously getting healthier. Who knows if he'll be ready for the Rams. But look, guys, if the 49ers can get through these games without Bosa, without Trent and stuff, I can almost guarantee you these guys are going to be at least ready to go by the Dolphins game. And if the Niners can scrap up 3 wins here on out, up until the Lions game, and we got players like Greenlaw on the field, Bosa, Hufanga. I'm talking about important role model players. I know Hufanga, we haven't really seen much this year, but you get my point. It's still depth at the end of the day. Like, we're talking about that we are going to be, I'm just saying we should be, God willing, depending on how these other games go. I just hope our luck isn't any more terrible than it is now. But if everyone starts returning and stays healthy, that Lions game can look promising. I'm telling you right now, if these guys can get in a roll, which I truly believe they can, with or without some of these star players, if they go up to that Lions game on a win streak, Bosa's back, Greenlaw is like up to speed, and Purdy's finally clicking again with his offense. The receivers are starting to create separation. You know, Kyle's kind of getting his groove back. Like, Sorensen is hopefully doing a little better with some of these guys coming back. And if we go out and, I'm counting on us potentially having a chance, even though no one's going to believe us, to beat the Lions. It's going to be at our home. By then, the Lions are probably still going to be kind of fighting for the 1 seed, depending how the rest of everyone else's games go in the NFC, especially with the North. I'm telling you guys, like, there's hope out there, and there's no reason not to think otherwise. So be optimistic. What do we have? What do we have? There's no point in being a Debbie Downer. We have no influence on how these games transpire, other than if you show up to the stadium and scream as loud as you can when the opposing team is on offense. Other than that, there's no point in always being a Debbie Downer. I'll tell you what, if they lose against the Bears, okay, I'm with you guys. Like, I know mathematically that's not officially over yet, but if they can't, Bears are not a bad team, but I think they really need to be able to beat the team like the Bears and start getting on a winning streak here before the Lions game. If they don't, okay, I'm all yours. Let's talk about the offseason then. But right now, we kind of knew what was going to happen against Green Bay and Bills. But mathematically, with 5 games left, there's still a chance. And everyone else in the West has a couple tough games left. And I'm telling you, there's a real chance we can get this as long as this team gets on a roll and starts getting bodies back. All right, I think I've talked way too long already. I feel like I'm being a little repetitive at this point. Thank you for listening. Maybe I'll make another video before Sunday's game, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.